Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to yet another episode on D-Life's low carb series. Today, we will be talking on hypothyroid. We will be talking to a very interesting guest who's going to share his story on hypothyroid and how he healed his hypothyroid problem along with several other metabolic issues using low carb. My name is Anjali. I'm a certified low carb nutritionist from D-Life. I'm a member of D-Life as well. And very happy to be hosting Prasanna, who's a very interesting guest on our show today. A little bit about D-Life. D-Life was founded in 2014 by the brilliant and very dynamic Anup Singh, an engineer and a silver medalist from India's distinguished IIT Roorkee. Anup is also a type 2 diabetic since Feb 2011. And when diagnosed with diabetes, he completely changed the game by going low carb and is now living a pill-free life. It was Anup who pioneered and came up with the idea of 100-gram carbs per day as the upper limit in a low-carb diet for Indians. What Anup has done for the diabetics in India has never been thought of or achieved ever before. Now, D-Life has more than 2,000 combined success stories of of diabetes, hypertension, weight loss, fatty liver, among others. These have put into successful remission through nutritional intervention, and there are now more than 1,200 Indian low-carb ketogenic recipes listed on the D-Life forum. In 2021, Anup and D-Life were awarded the coveted Icons of India Award by the Outlook Group. What started as a community in August 2014 has now become the biggest and fastest growing low-carb platform in India. D-Life's diploma course that was launched in April 2020 has given India its top-of-the-line low-carb nutritionists and metabolic health coaches. The D-Life diploma is the most exhaustive low-carb nutrition course in India and the only one with a focus on metabolic disease remission through low-carb nutritional intervention. D-Life's diploma is the most sought-after course on low-carb in not only India, but also other countries like Australia, France, Guyana, Nepal, and many others. I'm proud to be a member of this most coveted and India's only award-winning low-carb community, dlife.in. So Prasanna is also a part of D-Life, and I'll just introduce Prasanna. Very, very interesting person. He's a certified low-carb nutritionist, and through his coaching, people have achieved amazing results in weight loss, healing, and reversing metabolic issues such as diabetes, PCOD, and obesity. It gives him great satisfaction to see healthy people around him and making a positive difference in their lives. About 5 years ago, he successfully reversed his hypothyroid condition and other metabolic issues. He also achieved significant weight loss, high energy levels, and sharper mental focus. He has become passionate about research in this area and has also completed his low-carb nutrition learning program at D-Life. He continues to coach, committed to people, and is helping them get better. Welcome, Prasanna. We're really excited to hear about your story, your case study, and your journey with low carb.
Thank you, Anjali. Thanks for the warm welcome.
Before we get into more details, Prasanna, I think we would like to hear a bit more about you, how you came across this low carb field and how you started adapting it into your life. So maybe a little bit of intro in that angle.
Sure. So first thing is I would like to start with a note of gratitude to a few people and many others whom I cannot name right now because the list is long. Some of them are Shashikant and Shashikant Iyengar, we all know him, and Dr. Vijay Raghavan, with whom I had the first stint of introduction to low carb at the beginning, Sindhu Vijay, and Sudha Venkatesh, and many others, from whose research I actually gained a lot of insights. And last but not the least, Shranul Singh, D-Life, which has created an excellent structure and platform for spreading this awareness amongst Indian people. So, having said that, I would like to state that my health journey started about this hypothyroid in 2016, 2015-16 December. So life was fine. I was thinking I was at peak health, doing whatever normal person was doing. And then one fine day, I had slowly started a little bit of a gut issue. And gut issue meaning whenever I eat food in the evening, the next day it won't be properly digested. So the bowel movements and all, whatever, it was not good. I thought, okay, it's okay. And then life went on for another 6 months, but the 6 months, this problem continued. And then later on, I started putting on a little bit more weight. And then I was actually starting to get worried. And then I went and consulted a doctor nearby. And then he told, okay, you have gut issues, you have a lot of burping and a lot of other issues. So this must be amoebiosis, and prescribed some tests. And then the test result came with the TSH value, thyroid stimulating hormone value of 100. And again tested, it came to around somewhere around that. And then he said that it's a blunder that you do not take a medicine, because I told him that I do not want to take a medicine, how to cure it. So that was my thinking about myself, that I was in peak health, got crumpled. I could not take it. So actually I was looking at the solution, how could this be? And I asked, what is the reason for this hypothyroidism? He said this. And I didn't like that answer. So I was looking for a solution, but he said that it's a blunder thing. And I was feeling a little bit, I'm just summarizing to you how I felt. So I was feeling lethargic day by day. I didn't want to move around. Whatever I eat, within 4 hours, 5 hours, again, I felt hungry. And then if I didn't eat, my hands and calf muscles start shaking. All those usual stuff happened. Because I was on a regular normal eating. It's normal eating. So normal South Indian eating. And and I had medicines, and this is how it went on. And then I was actually looking for a solution. I searched YouTube, I searched everywhere. I even purchased books, functional medicine books. Isabel Evans, I was following some things which she had mentioned in it, but nothing budged. In between, I myself, out of doctor's advice, I myself wanted to calibrate my medicine and then reduced it a little bit, but thyroid, this problem didn't go away. And then I came across the content about low carb. Immediately, luck, or whatever we may call it, God's grace, or I actually started a little bit more research and immediately got into the needed tests, and then got into the understood what this means, how it works, and the logic was undeniable. I just started. And then I would like to share. So at this point, I would like to move on and show actual results of me, so that people can get a taste of what can be done with our health.
How much for sharing? Yeah, am I audible now?
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks so much for sharing. At least the beginning of your story, because I think many people are suffering very similar, or they would be facing similar symptoms. And I think thyroid or hypothyroidism is one of the most common troubles that people are facing after diabetes and obesity. Because even in the small list of people that I've been speaking to recently, I keep saying, I keep hearing them talking about diabetes. Yes, they have a challenge. Then they have gut issues, they have digestion issues. And then they say they are also taking medicine for hypothyroidism. So I think you rightly pointed out that there's some connection and this is on the rise. So maybe you could share a bit more, talk a bit more about specifics and, what you exactly went, what were the numbers, how did you go through it, and how did you start making those dietary corrections? I think one of them could be elimination. Maybe if you could just share some light, I'm sure it would be helpful.
Sure. So let me share my screen right now. Please let me know when you can see my screen. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So whenever I am presenting, just if you're looking at me, my eyes will move here and there. So for all the listeners, please include that in your listening. Thanks.
Absolutely.
Okay. So these are my results. Picture speaks more than words. So if you see on the left side, that was me in May 2017, almost 87 kgs. I was thinking it's all fine because I was looking at around everybody. Everybody was having a paunch, and everybody was having yeah, this is how it is, because I didn't know better. And then once I started adopting the low carb, high fat, and sometimes specifically a high fat diet and very low carb, which is called as keto, uh, the results started showing up. So as you can see in the middle picture, it was taken during one of my treks in South India. Uh, it was done on a full day fasting. Energy never dropped. And the third picture is in July 2018, just before I started my trek to Himalayas. And so these are some of the benefits which I got. So I actually will move to my parameters. Let me show my parameters. So these are my parameters. So if you look at it in the dates which I have mentioned in Excel sheet, it just shows that first of every month, but it's an approximation. And if you look at that, the TSH levels for me was somewhere around 100 starting October 2016. And I was starting the medicine, and then the T3, T4 was all fine. I didn't take any any other measurements. I was on very high carb diet. Basically, I was eating rice, roti. And at this point of intervention, that is in around October 2016, with the L-troxin and usual medicines for the hypothyroid, I was asked to cut down completely the rice and take lot of wheat. Actually, that compounded my problem, gut issues. There was a lot of discomfort, and suddenly I'll be going on a bike ride, and then immediately I will feel like puking. This used to happen, and then a lot of other gut issues which people might relate to. And whenever I eat, it was very specific that whatever I eat in the morning, that was fine, the digestion, but whatever I ate in the night, it was not good. I still don't know why it happened, but it went on, and I till 2017 October, September, August end, I was on some of the medicines, and I was able to manage. But if you see here in Jan 2017, actually, and May 2017, those were periods where I actually stopped the medicine because I thought, okay, few months, I will give some respite from medicine, and then it will all go fine. It didn't. So it keeps on rising. The moment I stop the medicine, it keeps on going up. So the weight, if you see here, it was almost 89 to 90. 89 kgs to 90. I was feeling slow, sluggish, and the problem happened when I started just before taking in 2016 when I started. When I stopped the medicines, it just as an experiment, my voice got very rough. Some pronunciations got rough, and I could not even pronounce some words. People used to ask me what's happening. To that extent, it was bad. And then all these are symptoms which were happening before 2017, before I adopted the LCHF. And right around October, I started LCHF, and I was taking medicines till 2017 November. And at that point, I just thought that I will myself stop it, because I had an innate hatred towards taking medicines. That is how that's the drive which pushed me to seek for a permanent solution and root cause. So as you can see here, the TSH values were coming down and down, and weight also coming down. And that point only I started measuring based on the knowledge I was given. I started measuring and the advice and the coaching that was given. I started measuring my fasting insulin. So the graphs show a clear correlation between insulin fasting. The inappropriate insulin levels is what caused the issue. That is what I got. And so is there any questions here, or shall I move on?
Can move. It's just that in looking at the numbers, and that's an incredible movement that you've started from 100 TSH to moving to 3.3 now. So
no, actually, when you look at it, when the doctor told 100, I told there is some problem with the test. They didn't do it correctly. No, he said that 100 is the maximum limit, beyond which the measurement will not go. So it's blunder that you don't take a medicine. So 100 mcg altroxin, immediately you start. So that's how it went. So actually, for 1 year, I was searching for solution, and I was taking medicines. So that 2016 December, I went to US. Till January, I didn't take the medicines. And in US, the kind of food that I was having when I was traveling was a lot of wheat, gluten. Gut issues also compounded during that period. I just want to touch upon that. So shall I move on, or?
Just like to also mention to the audience over here who are listening in, maybe if you have questions, you can type in over there, and we will take up the Q&A after we finish the session. Please go ahead.
Thank you. So these are some more pictures. It's just to state what kind of effect proper eating can have. So on the side, if you see, there are many second order effects. Weight loss is a side effect which I faced. It's the freedom. That's what was available for me. The freedom from thinking about food all the time. I used to think breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack, mid breakfast, whatever you call it, a brunch snack, tea 2 times with sugar, all those things. Everything came down, and it all got streamlined and converged. So that's what happened. So as you can see, the second order effects are digestion, gut issues started solving by itself slowly over the course of 1 year. And then higher energy levels and ripple effects for family. What happened is people started asking me, what is that you're doing? You're reducing weight like a balloon. So I started when the people asked, that's when, even for my mother and my aunts and uncles and many people in my relative circle, when they asked, I was able to tell, because that was a clear marker. Yeah, okay, something is happening. So I started sharing with them, and then I shared to whatever extent I could. And I was lucky enough to have people in my family, immediate family, who could support immediately. And then I explained the procedure and process. This is what I'm doing. You also can do it. And that's where I started coaching my immediate family members. It's like watching a movie, good movie. Hey, go and watch it. It was superb, like that. I just went and shared with people, and people started asking. But the thing is, I was lucky also to have members in my family who actually listened immediately and created the environment for me to immediately follow a completely 180-degree opposite to what is the mainstream eating. So when I say high energy levels, people do not get it. So when I go to, I would like to little bit emphasize on that. So whenever I used to go in 2016 or 15, slowly when I go to a mall or to a purchase or any venue, I will immediately look for chairs. No longer that happens till today. I can stand for 4 hours. And this used to be, if you look at our ancestors, right? They were like that. They used to have walk thousands of kilometers, and at a stretch they could walk for about 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, maybe even more. I don't know, because yeah, I'm putting my limitation because I can walk for 4 hours today also without even 7 hours. That's fine. So stairs versus lift. When I go to office, I was looking for lift. Now I don't even look for lift. I just by default reflex action is take a stairs. It's around 230 steps, 7 floors, something around that. And not searching for chairs. I mentioned that. Not obsessing about food. I do not think about food. That's a great relief, just to concentrate on other stuff than thinking about food. Breakfast, lunch, what to do, and
Absolutely.
yeah,
Very
and
true.
lowered the sleep quota. Sleep quota got down. And longer fasts even during high intensity treks. On the left side was Kailash Manasarovar trip. It was an amazing trip. That trip from I forgot that place, Yameshwara, from there to Kailash, it's almost a 7 hours for walk. That's what is the average, what people say. I did it in about 5.5 hours, and I was on a full day fasting. When I started the fasting, I ended the fast that day evening. It was like a breeze, and it was a kind of a water fast I did, and meaning I didn't have water also. It has to be done systematically. I did it not brashly. I had cultivated myself. To all the listeners, that is the system to get into the fasting. So I did that. And next is Switzerland. That was a trek in one of the mountains nearby. It's a Chota mountain, small mountain. So we did it, and then that was also, I just tried to do it on a fast. I did it on a fast. It was about 6 to 7 hours walk. It was very nice. And shall I move on?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So what I adopted is the first principles thinking. This is what I adopted. Get into the root cause. I found that root cause is insulin resistance, abnormal levels of insulin. And the solution is to eat in such a way that your my insulin is not too much triggered. And another thing is I want to touch upon the circadian rhythm, lifestyle change. I took a 3% to 5% pay cut and negotiated and moved to afternoon shift instead of night shift.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I think
And that is not a big marker, but that also contributed to my thyroid healing.
Just a moment, I'd like to make a comment here. I think that's a very important step that you took because, like you say, circadian rhythm, working at all times, all of this is, a lot of people, they look for the money part of it. Yes, in some angles, we need the money for survival. We need to get a higher salary or a higher pay. But then we don't realize the drastic side effects of such work lifestyles. There are people who are working in high fire mode. I think you were really, really brave and bold enough to take that huge risk in shifting to, taking a bit of a small amount of pay cut and moving
No,
to a
I was
different country.
afraid for my health. That was the motivator. And actually that put in the priority. I prioritized that. And luckily that I got this knowledge about LCHF and the logic behind it. And I want this to spread. I want India to be healthy. And of course, the world to be healthy. But a lot of people in India it's becoming a diabetic capital in the world. I just want to change that. However way I can. Whatever least I can do, I'll do. Whatever maximum I can do, I'll do. This is the least thing which I can do by sharing this. So process versus results. I was not looking at my target weight. No, I will do this process of eating correctly. Let the body autocorrect. So this is what happened actually. So whatever weight, I didn't keep on losing weight till after, if you look at this, I didn't keep on losing weight after 68, 66, and then become invisible and visible in air, right? So body has its own intelligence. That's what happened. That's what happened. At one point, everything started making sense and it stopped. And at that point, people also said that you look better, and a lot of other compliments, as you might be relating to. People will be able to immediately see what the results are. And I just want to just show this, that based upon our research, there is a lot of academic research to support this, and number of research is there, that hyperinsulinemia is the cause. That is, insulin is not bad. Insulin is there for a reason, but the kind of food that we are eating triggers insulin too much. And a lot of that insulin, too much insulin, is creating a lot of problems, host of other problems. So this is what I learned. I just want to state this. So I was lucky to be guided by doctors and nutritionists who are ahead of the curve and have embraced this understanding of carbs and obesity, carbohydrates. So we are inundated with refined carbohydrates, and that is the problem that needs to be addressed.
Absolutely. I think I think this slide of yours says it all, because it's not just about diabetes or obesity or thyroid anymore, or even PCOS for that matter. I think there are several issues that we are linking to our lifestyle. All of these, I think, we were even speaking recently about mental health challenges, mental disorders, all caused because of lifestyle, because of the kind of food people eat and the kind of food choices people make. Very true. And this is on the rise. So I think, first of all, I'm totally impressed with your journey and the way you took back control. That's vital. And I give kudos to everybody who does that. Say everything else is secondary, but when it comes to my health, it's the first priority. And I'm so glad we connected and we're speaking about it. I have a couple of questions for you, though.
Okay.
So one fascinating thing that you mentioned was you were fasting even during your treks, right?
Yes.
So I think while I just wanted to connect it to mine, and kind of, though I wanted to do it on a fasting because we're also used to the typical fasting style, right? Somewhere there was this fear where everyone could. I did an EBC, Everest Base Camp trek, and everybody was kind of putting in a fear, saying, no, you have to eat food, you have to have your breakfast, lunch, dinner. And after 2 days, I was so even get into the mindset saying I will trek, and especially in higher altitudes where there's so much of snow, there's so much of chill, and a very different space when compared to our own sea level, treks. How did you manage, or how did you even go ahead with taking an entire day fasting and trekking for the whole day?
By the time of 2018 August, that is when I had that initial, that is the trek period which I did. And during that time, I had habituated into the fasting. By the time I did almost a 3-day fasting, I was able to do.
Wow.
Some people are not able to do. That's fine. Each and every person is different. So I was able to do 3-day fasting almost 4 months once. In somewhere around July I did. So not July, somewhere around June 2018, I was doing it. So I was also slowly habituating into that intermittent fasting lifestyle. See, because when we eat high fat, there is a longer time we can go without food. The thought about food doesn't come. It keeps on burning. It keeps on providing more energy. Carbs are like just like a burst of energy, right? It just
Yes.
that is the reason why the burst of energy comes, and then immediately if you do not put in that 2 idlis or some kind of sugar or something, carbohydrates basically, there
Yes.
is a hand trembling, calf muscle trembling, all the things happen, the
Yes.
jitteriness and crankiness in children, everything happens.
Yes.
But when almost a year I had been, that is from October 2017, I had been in kind of a ketosis, that you're running on ketones. Basically, I shifted to my fuel from carbohydrates, sugar to ketones, right? So I was able to do it. I got habituated into it. And also it was a calculated risk. I had a full box of butter at my pocket, almonds and everything. If I felt a little bit of weakness, I will break it. It's not like I will do it, and that's not how I did it. But so the yesterday, the previous night, I had a lot of fat and slept off. The next day morning, I had a black coffee, black tea basically, and then I just went on fast. And then the full day I was able to fast. And once we reached the destination, I had food. And the period of that fasting was around 23 to 24 hours. And during that fasting, I was able to walk. So how did I achieve it? Is because of the fuel that I had myself habituated. So it has a what do you call training period to get into that fasting. Of course, each person is different. So what I did cannot fit for another person. Each person's capabilities and cell and whatever their mechanisms are might be different here and there. But majorly, if we look at it, I was also reading upon a lot of stuff about how our ancestors. Actually, it made sense, right? Our ancestors, or majority of the time, humans were hunting and eating. Many times they won't even have food for 2 days, 3 days. How are they able to survive? That kind of thinking, everything mingled, and I was able to do that. Did I answer your question?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
And when I broke the fast, I broke it with a high fat yak butter. There, yak butter, everything was available. I loaded up, and then a little bit at that kind of altitude, all fat we cannot get it. So I had a little bit of. I am a vegetarian, and I had a little bit of carbs. Not refined carbs. It's at that place at the time there were carbs little bit available. I tried to avoid as much as possible and then eat maximum of available proteins and loaded up on fats.
So I think you were able to move to a phase called metabolic flexibility, right? From someone who was completely down on the metabolism, had really challenging gut issues and other health issues, and having heavy carb. So I think with LCHF ketogenic, you're not just stuck to low carb, not just stuck to high protein and a lot of fat, but also you built a metabolic flexibility where when the time came, or because of a particular situation, you have some amount of carbs and your body was still able to adapt.
Correct. Because I was completely on running on yeah, exactly as you put it. It was metabolic flexibility, exactly. So when I put a carb to my body, when I eat carbs after a long time, even though it is a little bit of refined carbs due to complete unavailability at those high altitudes, and sometimes the body can take it in small spurts. So that's what happened.
Got it. So I think it's only what people wrongly believe is that you should go zero carbs. I don't think that's the idea. That's the principle we adhere to, right? We only always say chronic overconsumption of carbs, meaning excessive carbs every single time is the challenge, right?
Yeah, correct. And see, vegetables also, and our normal vegetables are naturally available, non-man-made foods have a little bit of natural carbs. That is not too much of a refined carbs, and that's good. That's good.
Perfect. So so now there's another question I want to put to you on sustainability. Okay, so you started your journey in 2017. You were in 2016, 2017. You were fighting with your thyroid, and then around that time, I think you started your low carb journey. You started reducing your carbs, right? And it's close to 6-7 years now. And you also mentioned you're a vegetarian. So how has your sustaining on this diet been? How have you been able to sustain? Because that's one of the major questions and thoughts people immediately come up with. You can't sustain with cutting off carbs.
Yes, correct. So I'm not a vegan. I just want to.
Exactly. You're not a vegan. Yes.
Because I include animal products. For very specific periods of time, I was a lacto ovo vegetarian. So it is sustainable. people, if you are a non-vegetarian, it's even more easier. If you are a vegetarian, it is not difficult. It is possible. The thing about sustainability is the mentality, which is what I would like to move on to the next slide. This is the first thing for whoever is listening. If you're looking how did I sustain, what you can do, right now. These are the steps which I did. And sustainability is first creating the environment. The moment I learned about it and decided, based upon my blood reports and proper scientific background, backing, and the knowledge, is to talk to my family. I'm going to do something which you have never heard of, and it is going to be 180 degrees. And you're going to be, like, I'm going bonkers. You're doing something very wrong. Believe me, I've done the research, and they trusted. My wife, I would like to, she said that I know you do some good enough research. Okay, chalo, I'll also follow. It was a huge boost.
Wow.
That
Yes.
creating that environment is very, very important. My mother, my father, my brother, everybody was very much supportive. And they didn't ask any questions. And that initial 3 months, I protected it like very much. I didn't tell too much because that protection is needed when you're doing something newly. That is what I mean by creating the environment conducive and the mentality, mindset. What I say is, once I decided this is going to work, let me give it 3 months at least to try it and see, full on committed, how to make this happen. That is how I started thinking, not whether I can do it. You're getting my point. Suppose if I go to a restaurant, if I have to eat outside, there is no other option, paneer butter masala, I'll order only that. I don't order other things. So this is how to make it happen. This is what it is. Okay, chalo, they have only rice. Okay, I'll have rice. No, I fast if I can. If I go to some place where there is nothing available, I fast. Right? So this is the mindset. And then completely meticulously avoided the vegetable oil. These are all the small parts which worked in tandem. And this is what I would suggest for anybody who wants to have a quick win. You can have this. Meticulously avoid all vegetable oils. So just think about it. If you take a cauliflower and squeeze it, do you get oil? No. Why are they naming it as vegetable oil? Why? Okay, I don't want to get into too much of politics into this.
That's a very misleading phrase. It's a very misleading.
Yeah, it's a seed oil, and actually it's not good. You can, it's not anecdotal. N number of evidence is there.
Absolutely.
Scientific studies are there. People can go ahead and search about this. And eliminated refined carbohydrates. And then actually, when I went and spoke and learned about this for the first time in 2017, the moment I heard eliminate refined carbs, I heard reduce. And that's what people hear. No, eliminate sugar, not reduce. The moment I utter cut down, people hear reduce.
Yes.
This is actually, these are all the things catalyzed my fast weight loss, fast recovery, fast healing. And do not fear good saturated fats. That keyword is good saturated fats, fatty food. And please do not combine. Just because I gave some input to some people and they said fat is good, our ancestors has told, and then I will add a lot of ghee to my rice. No, please don't do that. You are better off eating rice than combining these two.
Very true.
So these are some quick pointers I would like to say. And if you just adopt this, you will see immediately in the next 1 week, you will get some results, or next 10 days or 15 days, you will get results. There will be some here and there, little bit of hiccups, but that can be easily managed. It's just the mentality and commitment. And the strong backing, because everybody, once you get on to the strong backing, the scientific backing has to be there. That is, it is going to work. The logic, understanding, that was there. That was the fundamental. That's the first principles thinking which I was talking about.
I think these are some 4 basic points. I would say the 4 legs of a chair, table, call it what you may. I think these are fundamental and we have to keep these in mind. And I think, to be very honest, this not just help you with your thyroid, it help you overall, right? It helped you resolve your gut issues. It helped you resolve,
Yes.
reduce your weight. As you said, that's more of a side effect, weight reduction.
I have just listed second order effects very less only here.
Yeah.
Lot of multiple second order effects, compounding effects. What you can do with the time of not thinking about the food, and
Yes.
you see long duration mental work. My work, I can do more work of my more mental work. I can do a little bit more research. I can spend a little bit more time, and I expend my more energy to my family members or kith and kin or friends. And what you can do instead of your energy is wasted about thinking about food and dealing with diseases, right? It's a compounding effect. Just a food change can bring in. Yeah, the high energy levels are the key.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. And the fact about you saying saving time on thinking of food, I think that's a huge time saving we all can make,
My
because we
wife
keep
is very
thinking.
happy. My wife is very happy.
I was just about to mention that, because almost most of us women only keep thinking of what to make for breakfast, what to make for lunch, what to make for dinner. And once you switch to low carb and add in fasting, I think the amount of times you think of food is extremely less, even goes to 1/3 of the time.
Yes,
So
the nutrient density goes up. We have to be aware of these things. So nutrient density, and then go on a scientific basis. Take the blood markers, measure it regularly, and then do it in a systematic manner. That also matters. That's what I did. Yeah.
brilliant. So I think that was also my next question on how did you resolve your gut issues, and you've put that down here pretty well.
Yeah, I had a little bit of fermented foods during the initial days, and now also I do it. Fermented foods, natural fermented foods like that sauerkraut, uh, hung curd, that is curd,
Yeah,
natural, not good curd, not the toned
the
milk wala
regular
curd. Yeah, good
full fat
A2,
milk.
yeah,
Yeah,
full fat milk.
me too.
Yeah, and I made it, I strained off the carbohydrates and then had it. And good fermented food, and all these things, it worked in sync. The moment, and of course there will be a little bit of a hiccups, like the moment I shifted the body from complete carbs to complete fat, right? There was an adjustment phase where I had constipation. I had to do a little bit of tinkering and supplementation. That happens. It happened. It's just a temporary thing. It was just for 15 days, 20 days. That's it.
A different mechanism, a different kind of food and different inputs that it's getting, right? And but I don't think you've had any challenges once those initial hiccups were overcome. Be it with,
Yes,
let's
if
say,
yeah,
bloating or constipation or any motion
no,
issue.
it was not there. It was not there. It was there. It was a little bit. If I didn't take any vegetables at all, complete proteins, if I take like paneer or something, there was a little bit of a bowel movement and constipation problem, and I had to add a little bit of fiber. These comes after the decision how to make it happen. So
Yeah,
just because I got this thing, I'll say that I will not eat fat. Something has bad. No. That strong fundamentals was there. So I didn't go back to carbs. So I had to make sure that what to do to make this problem also get sorted out. Not problem, small hiccups.
so
Speed breakers, I would call small speed breakers, small.
absolutely. Yeah. So just have one last question. Now, because we have the main topic as hypothyroidism, and that's what you were also dealing with initially. If you have to give some quick 5 steps in which anybody from our audience who's also dealing with a similar problem and they have to get started, what would you recommend? Not just 5, it could be any number that you have in mind, but how do you think they should start off their journey in, recovering from hypothyroidism and take control back?
Yes, correct. So this session, what is one person's N equal to 1, right? And hypothyroid problem means it can come from autoimmune condition stuff. But as a blanket rule, if you correct your food, there is a high chance for your body to autocorrect. This is my learning. This is a number of people whom I know who have corrected hypothyroid. And they are able to reduce their medicines step by step. And so I would say, please take a blood test, decide that, get the knowledge. Of course, our platform D-Life is here to provide the knowledge, and you don't have to go ahead and search around and hunt around for information, and then decide, and then go ahead and get a proper consult from a nutritionist if you want, and then do it in a systematic manner. Change the food, reduce carbohydrates, reduce sugar, not reduce carbohydrates, as much as possible eliminate, and then refined carbohydrates, I mean junk foods, and then eat good quality proteins and fats. This is what I would say. And please consult your doctor also. I stopped my medicine just out of my own calibration. I was having a backing, and I stopped in November 2017 for my body to autocorrect. It worked. Each person cannot do that, right? It's not a medical advice. So each person has to calibrate it. There is, but when I keep on saying that, it sounds so otherworldly or it's very complicated. No, it's just that cut down sugar or eliminate sugar from your food, eliminate refined carbohydrates, create the environment, decide, get the knowledge, eat good proteins and fats. There is a very high chance it's going to happen. And this is it's all boiled down to this. It all boiled down to this. This is where it converged to. So eat when hungry. It happened because once I 3 times I started. When I started with low carb, I ate 3 times and then slowly 2 times. And nowadays, if I work out, it is 2 times. Otherwise, it is 1 time. It's just that if I'm hungry, I eat. And the second rule is very important. Eat only when hungry, because I'm seeing it's a sorry state of affairs sometimes. I'm seeing this happening a lot with the kids nowadays. I was in this boat, and many people just like that eat binge watching and eating without. So this is a good interoception concept. Also, we can say that hunger should happen in the stomach, not in the brain. And actually, this helped me to see myself. How am I eating? If I'm anxious, whether I'm eating. If I am sad, happy, I'm eating more. All these things we can watch. This is one you can call it as a second order effect. All these things also start happening. It's all leading to your peak health. That's one of the goals which I have put forth for the listeners here. So this is what. And then rule 3 is naturally the intermittent and extended fasting will happen. Because if I eat fat, you can go on without thinking about food, and you will be at ease with yourself, not thinking about food, and the body is good, intelligent. It knows when to create your hunger pangs. At that time, you will know to eat. So that's something. And the junk foods that we have, right? There are the recent studies we know. There are some. I don't want to get too technical. There are neurons in our gut which send the signal to overeat the junk foods. It's being engineered that way. So so those things, it's better to avoid those things.
Very rightly put, especially in terms of junk food, the kind of processed and over-refined ultra-processed foods that we're getting today, and amount of exposure that the young generation, the younger children have to that is alarming. And I think it was just a couple of days ago, we were reading some article that says how a study, not just an article, it was a study as to how there is a direct impact of such refined foods on the brain health itself. So yeah, what you're saying is very true. So amazing, Prasanna. I think these 3 rules just bring it down, crunch everything down, and it makes a lot of sense to us, to manage hunger. Weight loss is never suppressing hunger. It's always eating the right food, managing your metabolism or managing your symptoms. It's just eating the right food. So you eat when you're hungry and your body tells you when you have.
It all boiled down to this. It naturally boiled down to this. It's not a rule per se, but the rule too is
It
kind of a
does.
rule. The
Oh,
rule
yes,
too is kind
yes.
of a rule. If you see, eat only when hungry. I sometimes, when I'm very much of in a kind of a strained or stretched scenario, the food comes in as a stress reliever. So that has to be watched. It's becoming too much of a problem in young children also. But yeah, this is modern day problem that's happening. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think we can go on and on when it comes to such problems because I'm sure we're reading and hearing so many such cases. All right. So, Prasanna, I'd just like to ask you if you've got any other things that you would like to share with us before. We've got quite a few questions from our viewers and audience. So, if there's something that you would like to share in addition to what we've spoken.
Don't fear fat. That's it. And the mentality shift, that's what is important. I know I was in that same boat. The moment you start something new, get yourself grounded in that solid fundamentals. And see, either go, one of my friends said that you give me all the papers that you listen to. I gave him the etiology of obesity video. It's available in YouTube for the viewers. If you are in that boat that I need all the data, that is something. One of my friends, she asked, I see your results. Just tell me what you did. It's a trust-based or research-based. You can mix and match and 60-40 ratio or 50-50 ratio, whatever way you can. Once you start doing that commitment for the first 3 months, right, you will start listening to your own body. You will see the results, right? Nobody has to tell you. You will do. People will start doing things. That's how I did. I was very pessimistic a little bit when I started. How not eating rice? How wheat is the thing? That's all these questions are natural. It is natural. But the kind of wheat that we had 40, 50 years ago is not the same wheat we are having right now. A lot of changes in the food.
That's right. That's it. And I think one of the major advices we're giving to everybody, right, is to ditch gluten, to ditch wheat completely, especially if you have gut issues, if you're having problems with digestion. Wheat is one of the major culprits, along with sugar and sugar-like substances as well. Right.
Yeah.
All right. So if I can get into some Q&A, we've got a few people very eager to get some more information. We have the first question from Dr. Kaur, who's asking if you have ever tested your free T3 and reverse T3.
Free T3 and reverse T3, I think I tested in 2017. I immediately cannot share it. And also TPO antibodies also I tested. It came a little bit low, but the doctor said that nothing to worry about. But in retrospect, I think there was kind of a Hashimoto's kind of thing going. And another thing was my vitamin B12 levels were so low. The gut issues, sorry, Anjali, I forgot to mention this. Vitamin D and vitamin B12 was so low, so abysmally low. The doctor said that it's again a blunder, take injections. I didn't take it. But these also got corrected. Vitamin D supplement I took. Vitamin D. And then I increased my sun exposure. Vitamin B12, I didn't take supplement, but the food corrected it. For a very short time, after adopting in 2018, just before doing the trek, I took vitamin B12 supplements. But majorly the food, the nutrient dense food, the correct food actually corrected it.
So just when you're mentioning about B12 levels also being low, typically with gut issues, there's also challenges of absorption of nutrients.
Yes,
right?
exactly. That was what was going on. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So it doesn't matter how many of a supplements somebody takes if they're not correcting the major problem of their diet.
Yes, exactly.
Because none of it is going to be absorbed. You can even take 10 pills, 10 B complexes, but none of them are going to be absorbed.
Correct.
How true. So we have a question from Praveen asking about, can you explain what are normal levels of thyroid antibodies, ATG and TPO, and how their abnormal levels can be corrected?
I do not have the numbers on top of my head.
All right. So I think maybe we can ask Praveen to kind of just reach out to you to get a little bit more information on this. Not an issue. So yes, when you're talking about thyroid, there's also some of the major challenges people say or people tend to avoid, especially these cruciferous vegetables. Avoid all the cabbage family, cauliflower family kind of vegetables, and seeds, which typically we presume are healthy, but for someone with thyroid, we tell them to avoid seeds. So what's your opinion on this?
Seeds, is it? What seeds?
Yeah,
means?
like seeds, like nuts and seeds, predominantly nuts, like your walnuts, your almonds, and cashews.
Yeah, actually, when starting, I was a little bit wary about it because that same concern was there for me. I was a little bit low on uncooked cabbage. Cooked cabbage was fine, and I turned into organic because I got the information that a lot of pesticides go into the normal cabbage production. But nowadays I'm having cabbage also, cruciferous vegetables, broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower also. But at that time, I had a little bit of a rationing of initially when my thyroid levels are 25, TSH levels are 25 and too much, and I was having a lot of bloating issues and everything. Actually, I had to ration it, and I was taking it with a little bit of caution. The cabbage and cruciferous, yeah, I didn't avoid it completely. But as a general advice, uh, I would say have a restraint, cook it, and about the seeds. Yes, soak I usually had soaked seeds like almonds, not cashews. Cashews are another carbohydrate dense food. Cashews and pumpkin seeds and all those things. I try to soak it to remove the anti-nutrients, or what do we call it, phytates, the bad stuff in it. So if we soak it, all those things, and then peel off the skin and those kind of things I did.
Takeaway would be to not really fear any vegetable per se, but just be a little conscious on eating cooked versus an uncooked version. So avoid raw versions of those vegetables, prefer the cooked ones, right?
Correct.
So you can remove those anti-nutrients and those goitrogenous enzymes that create a problem. All right. We have one more question from someone who's doing OMAD for quite a while, who's struggling to do OMAD, vegetarian struggling to do OMAD. So she wants to know what could be some tips that you could give her.
Why are you doing OMAD? If you are not able to do OMAD, don't do it. Meaning, what I'm trying to say is that that will be my immediate response. You don't have to, if it naturally occurs that OMAD works for you, that's fine. It works for me sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't work for me because I'm hungry all the time. Immediately I shift to 2 meal. So I used to have it because when I had the OMAD, a lot of time has to be spent, a little bit of time has to be spent on thinking about food and all those stuff, right? So OMAD becomes like a status. After you achieve a rich status, right? I'm OMAD. That is exactly what I want to avoid now. This is my learning. I'm not saying I'm above that. No, it happened to me also. I'm having 1 meal a day only. Because when you operate in that level, right, 1 meal a day, I'm operating, that becomes a kind of a critish. So if you are wanting to do OMAD, see what what in my experience is there, what we call as metaflammation happened for me. You cannot have all the nutrients in one sitting. That's what happened. It's acquired trait, 1 meal a day. So I would say that increase your proteins. If you want to do OMAD, it's a kind of balance, right? So please look at your proteins. That's where the key is. Does it make sense, Anjali?
Yes, it definitely makes sense. I mean, like you said, and I think like Dr. Kaur has also responded to that question, OMAD after a while does become a statement. It becomes a status symbol saying I am able to do OMAD, but then we need to start focusing on how our body is responding. If someone can do an OMAD, great. I struggled for nearly 3 to 4 years to even go beyond 20-hour fasting. So I just couldn't think about going beyond 20 hours. It's also a mindset sometimes that comes the way. But then I think what we learn through the journey is listening to our bodies and feasting and fasting accordingly. Right. So does age matter in reversing thyroidism?
I know a person who is 66 who reversed it. Not, I would not call it reverse stage. It's again,
Put that into remission.
yeah, it's basically put it into remission. They healed it. They are completely out of medicine. It is possible. Each person is different. Calibrate and do it. It is possible.
I'm just checking if there are any questions over here, or if we can open it to the audience. I think we can open it to the audience and allow people to ask questions they have. So anyone who's got a question, maybe you could you could unmute yourself and you could ask a question to Prasanna.
Hello, question. Shall I go ahead?
Yes. Please go ahead. May I know who this is?
This is Praveen Fatangre.
Yeah. Hi, Praveen. Please go ahead with the question.
I was glad to know that vegetarian diet is possible with this type of recommendation. But low carb and high protein means generally it is said only paneer, and only paneer. Maybe if any other options, I would like to know.
At one point, if you are a little bit okay with adding a little bit of ovo, that is the eggs, I would suggest. Otherwise, there are other paneer sources such as some seeds and dal. I would say dal has protein, but it's not a clean source of protein. It is mixed with carbohydrates. But if we want a much more specific advice, I think it needs to be, we need to know what is your background, what is your parameters, and get a little bit more specific to you.
Okay.
Where that needs a little bit more dedicated conversation.
Okay. Understood. Thank you.
Thanks.
Do you have any other questions? Anyone else would like to know?
Hey, hello. I'm Lakshmanarayan. Let's say if you want to take only one medical test, okay, what would that be? And what's the benchmark level for that in terms of lchf? I'm asking.
You want to take only one medical test where it should be a clear marker, is it?
Let's say for example, usually fasting insulin is recommended. And
fasting insulin, I would say fasting insulin. That gives a very clear window into many things.
Okay. And
but I would say there is other parameters which will be needed. But it all works together, right? It's just not one parameter. But if you ask the question that if I want only one parameter to know what is my health, then I would say fasting insulin.
Okay, and the benchmark level less than?
Less than, I would say 6.
Okay.
For a normal person, but there are various levels. You can even reduce it.
Okay.
For a normal person, I will stick in a public forum. I will stick with 6 below.
Got it. So for being a vegetarian, what is your usual routine every day per week? How much paneer or cheese do you consume per day?
See, the protein is
because as I remember, Anjali used to say, dals are a complex. I mean, dals.
See, I'll give you a thumb rule. If you're 70 kgs, eat 70 grams of protein at least. Thumb rule.
Got it.
So where you get it from protein, that's a different discussion. We need to sit and discuss this. Narayana, I will discuss with you. I know you.
Sure. Thank you.
Thanks.
But then I'd also like to mention that if we just have to look at just one parameter, while it may give some insight, that may really not give you a complete understanding of your entire health status. It's not possible with just one parameter, because even fasting insulin, I'm sure, Prasanna, sometimes we've seen metabolically sick people, but having not very high fasting insulin levels.
But
right?
the question came in that I want as a one parameter, if at all, if I have to choose, it's a constraint
All right.
the question came in with, so I provided. And also it is not the only parameter that needs to be checked. You have to put in a little bit more parameters to triangulate where the problem is.
Exactly. Totally right. Because we need to do a complete analysis of various other parameters in conjunction with which we, understand where the health level is at this point in time.
Yes.
Great. All right. Do we have anyone else who's got questions?
Yeah, hi Prasanna.
Hi.
Madhu here.
Hi, Madhu.
Have a question. People used to say we should not skip breakfast. Is that true, or we can, if you want to, reduce obesity problem is there now? So can we skip breakfast? Or, what is it exactly?
Okay, so what I will say is, this, if you adopt this, it will come to this: eat when hungry. If you're hungry in the morning, eat it, call it breakfast.
Oh, okay.
It will come to this. See, I know. See, to answer your question, whether it is true or not, that is not the. I would slightly, if you permit me, I will ask I will just change it a little bit. Is it necessary or not? It's a breakfast, right? Whenever you are hungry, you will eat. You can call it as breakfast. That's it. See, the breakfast, lunch, dinner, and all is a invented concept. Just listen to the body, and it all came to this for me. It all came to this. Like, I don't eat breakfast at all. I eat 2 p.m. The next day 2 p.m. And if I work out a little bit, walk a little bit more, if I am hungry, I will eat twice. Because I'm hungry. It's a calibration which happens. Yeah.
Okay. So suppose if you skip breakfast and have my lunch around 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, what happens, in the evening around 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, I feel very hungry. Maybe I did not take that breakfast.
This is where the question comes. What are you eating actually? On what mode you are on fasting? If you are eating carbohydrates and do fasting and extended fasting, from my experience, I was miserable. And from others' experience, which I know, they feel miserable. They can't stop thinking about food. That's not fasting. That's kind of, it's miserable. It's not even starving. It's something else. So to answer your question, first you'll have to see what fuel you are on, which means what food you are on. If you say, just to take from whatever we discussed, right? If you take one piece of fasting alone and do it along with carbohydrates, right? It's a different protocol you have to follow. I'm not saying carbohydrate fasting is bad or nothing like that, but it's a different thing. But if you are doing it on a fat, right? That is a high fat and low carbohydrate, we can do even the maximum I did is 4.5 days fasting. The maximum I did.
Okay.
Without a dip in the energy level. The second day, third day. The second day and third day, actually my brain works a hyper mode, because you are on fasting. The brain works really very well, and I am on fat fuel. Not on carbohydrates. So that's the key. So we need to ask these questions and then go into that fasting and breakfast, lunch. To answer your question, in short, breakfast, lunch, dinner concept is an invented concept. You don't need to follow it. But how you do it needs a little bit of nuance.
Yeah, I agree, Prasanna. Yeah, you're telling eat when you're hungry, not that skipping breakfast, not like that. Eat when you're hungry.
Yes.
Okay. And another question, everyone is asking that one. Oats, is it a good food or not?
No.
You're not supposed to take oats?
No. People
Okay.
have a lot of variations, steel cut oats and everything, but in the context of hypothyroid for me and overall health, for whomever I am guiding and I am coaching, I completely eliminate oats.
It's see, people say it's a fiber food, not that it's not true.
No, it's a lot of carbs.
Oh, I
Bad
see.
carbs. Yeah, bad carbs.
Oh, they're bad cops. Oh, okay, okay, okay. Thanks, Prasanna. Thank you.
Yeah, peanuts. Somebody is asking, tell us about peanuts.
Yeah.
See, okay, in the interest of time, I will be keeping it short.
No, I
Thing
think,
is,
Prasanna, you can make this as peanuts in connection with a hypothyroid or with
yeah,
thyroid
peanut
challenges.
has a lot of, yes, correct. Peanuts, again, is a high omega-6, right? So peanuts are not bad. The quality of the peanut matters, source matters. And if I
Is it
am
fat,
on,
Prasanna? Sorry to interrupt. Is it fat peanuts?
it's a legume and it is
Uh-huh.
not a good little bit of fat might be there, but it's basically omega-6 high. It's a good, it's not
Mhm.
bad. How we eat it, whether we soak it and eat it, everything matters. But for me, I take one handful of peanuts if at all I'm having peanuts. That's it per day. That's the
Okay.
maximum.
So, okay. So,
Sometimes I go over, sometimes I eat a little bit more, but
mhm.
not at the beginning when I was in the process of reversing the hypothyroid 5 years ago. Now,
Oh,
if I have the leeway to go a little bit here and there, but for a person who is looking for getting their health and starting out,
mhm.
peanuts are good, not too much.
And see, I want to avoid wheat or rice. So, so naturally, I'm planning to go for oats. So that's why I asked. So, how, which food can I can replace with food oats? Because I want to avoid rice and wheat. So, next option is oats. So, what is your
Lot
suggestion?
of vegetables, lot of ghee, butter. See, fat,
Uh-huh.
good fat food. Lot of stuff is there. Good protein food. A lot of food. Are you a vegetarian or non-vegetarian?
Yeah, I'm non-vegetarian.
Non-vegetarian, right? No problem.
Mhm.
No problem. See, if we have to talk, no, it will take a lot of time. I am willing to talk, but we are constrained with time. To be
Mhm.
keeping it short, right? Cutting down rice and this one, if you eat a good
Wheat.
quality proteins, meat, eggs, if
Mhm.
you, because you are a non-vegetarian, eggs,
Mhm.
good quality eggs, good quality meat, and then mm,
But I
fats,
don't take
butter.
non-vegetarian much, Prasanna. Maybe once in a week. That's it.
But
So I
you
want
can
to
eat,
daily food.
but you can eat, no? You will eat, no?
Some. Yeah, I will. I prefer, but in home situation, well,
This
we
is
do
what
only one. Yeah,
yeah, this
yeah,
is what
only
I
I,
one.
if
said.
you
Once in
if
a
it's
week only.
okay, I'd like to interrupt in the paucity of
Yeah,
time.
please. Yeah.
Yeah, so sorry. I think I will, if it's okay with you, Prasanna, I think I'll just sum up the answer for Mr.
Yeah,
Madhu, right? So Madhu, it's not about rice, wheat, or any grain for that matter. It's about look at the nutrient density. Which
density,
food
correct.
has got the highest amount of nutrients that your body will absorb? And typically when you look at it, proteins and fats are unmatched. So check first, look at proteins and fats, amp up your proteins and fats, and then decide to eat oats once you finish your proteins, fats, and vegetables, because these are all nutrient dense food. Have that first, then decide if you want to go ahead with oats, right? So I think that will also give you quite a bit of insight once you start making those small corrections. If you want
Mhm.
a detailed understanding, I'm sure you could reach out to Prasanna or any one of us in this forum over here, or log into DLife and you will get a lot more answers from many other experts out there.
Okay.
Yes.
Thanks, Anjali. Thank Prasanna.
I'm so
Thank you.
sorry I had to cut you short over there because
Understand? No.
I just
Yeah,
wanted you
I
to.
understand. Yeah, I understand, Anjali. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Can we
Thanks,
take
Prasanna.
just one last question? I think we're pretty much way ahead of time. So I think, Prasanna, we can stop here. We've gone quite ahead of time. I would say thank you so much. Your story is beautiful, and I'm sure your story has given a lot of hope to those who are struggling with hypothyroidism and also increasing cases of Hashimoto's autoimmune disorders in thyroid. Right. So I think they would have got good glimpse into what they should get started with. And I'm sure if they need more guided expertise or they need more guided intervention, they can reach out to any of us. So to all of you out there, thank you so much for joining us, for taking time out on a Sunday afternoon and focusing on health, making it a priority for you to sit down here and listen to us. If any of you want to go the research way, you want to understand more about low carb before just blindly adopting it, I would suggest that you look at D-Life certification, the low carb nutrition certification that just covers the entire gamut of nutrition. It speaks in a layman language. There's not too much of technicality and jargon in it. It will definitely get you to the roots. You can understand, you can implement, and you can help others too. If you're somebody who does not want to spend all that time in research but wants a guided assistance, you can still reach out to D-Life. There are lots of us out there. You can reach out to any of us as practicing advisors, low carb nutritionists, and we can help you with your journey. We can make it more sustainable in a very, very systematic manner. So thank you once again to all of you. Thank you so much, Prasanna, for sharing your beautiful journey with us.
Thank you, Anjali, and thank you, D-Life, for creating this kind of a wonderful platform where health can be spread and awareness about good health is possible can be spread. Thanks, Anjali, once again for hosting, and thanks, D-Life. And
my pleasure.
Thanks to each one of you for providing your listening, and thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you and have a great weekend.